gaming platform PowerUp.io. The space will begin shortly. Please repost the space now to bring in more of our AI and Web3 friends. Welcome to the
Hello, everybody. Hi, and thank you for joining us today. We're very happy to have you with us. And we have special guests with us, and we're happy to have them with us here today. Welcome. Hey, MG,
Yo,
Jad,
how's it going?
Christian, Nick.
Hey. Hello.
So, what do we have on our list for today?
Yep. First of all, welcome everybody to episode 31 of PowerUp Culture, the space that brings you the latest Web3 insight and trends. We're joined today by amazing people, Christian and Nick. We're stoked to have you here with us. On today's agenda, we have in the first segment the intro to our space. The second segment will be gossip, guess the voice, and industry topics. Third segment is AMA with Nifted. Fourth segment is the trivia winners and the new trivia announcement. And finally, we've got the outro. So, Ayman, now that the intro is done, we can go ahead and move to our new segment.
Let's go.
To learn while you earn? Visit PowerUp.io and join the community.
All right. So do we have our winners now? Or did I mess up the agenda?
Yeah, exactly. I think we can keep the winners a little bit later towards the end of the space. But to kick this episode off, I'm sure most of you guys heard what Pudgy Penguins are doing, rocking the space with their toys in 2,000 Walmart stores. So, Ayman, can you tell us a little bit more about that? And I know that you have some exciting alpha news for our community as well.
So we're interviewing Luca, the founder of Pudgy Penguins, over the weekend, and we'll be recording that and sharing that with our community across our multiple channels. What's interesting about their move, what they've been doing is they found a way to continue to monetize without the need to issue further NFTs to sell to the existing community. So being able to find an additional revenue model that's done with IP. So their IP, the intellectual property. So the same way there are movies and characters that we like from Marvel and Disney and DC Comics and others, and we end up going to their movies, buying merchandise, buying their comic books, mugs, whatever. So all of that is from IP. So they've been building gradually the IP aspect of Pudgy Penguins for a while now. And they've been public about a lot of things. So they've been including things related to building in public and so on. So they've been sharing what they've been doing. And the major announcement that they had a couple of days ago was that they did a partnership with Walmart. And their pilot, they call it a pilot, but it's still 2,000 stores. So what they have is they'll be featuring the Pudgy Penguins, the products in 2,000 locations across the US. And for those who don't know, every Pudgy Penguin has built in it a tag, an RFID tag, that with your phone you can scan that, and then you'll have a digital aspect there for you to claim and register your penguin and so on. So it's a combination of a physical product and the digital aspect of this.
Ayman, we saw this similar approach used by Gary Vee and VeeFriends. They also released a set of toys that were launched into Macy's, not Walmart. Walmart is definitely a bigger name, more stores, more people to walk in, see these toys. But I think the main difference with what Gary did and what Pudgy are doing, Pudgy, as you mentioned, they have this ticket where users can scan the ticket and then they use whatever they get traits on this QR code in an actual game. I tried this game out. It's called Pudgy World. It's a pretty good game. You have chess. You can play chess with other friends, other holders. You can play chess with your community, people you don't even know. You can even explore around. They have this like not metaverse area, but it reminds me of a Club Penguin, and this suits it well. This suits it well because it's penguins. You have this area. You can walk around. You can slide around, and you can meet new friends. And yeah, you can customize your character inside the game. So I think they have an edge on what Gary did. They took that, they ran with it, they made it more engaging, so more people, even young people, can now be introduced to Pudgy Penguins if they haven't been aware of the project. So I think that's very interesting on their part.
I think there's the play is common for all brands, even before Web3. So you own IP, whether it's a princess or a character or a warrior or whatever it is. And then you look at, what am I building? A comic book, a cartoon, how am I getting more people to use it, and so on. So are there other, so Christian, would you consider this, they're positioning this that it's a barrier, they've had Web3 cross a barrier into, normies or non-coiners to do this. Do you think they did? Is that a barrier that they broke through? So what's your thought on this?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of people who are going to be buying these toys are children, well, parents for their children, and it will be their first interaction with blockchain, with NFTs. And it's honestly like very, very cool. I mean, when I was a kid, there were some toys. I believe I don't even remember the name, but they worked on the same principle, just that without NFTs. You would buy a toy dragon, you'd have the dragon in the game. Very, very cool. I mean, it's worked in the past, but now it's Web3, and it makes a whole lot more sense. Especially, I believe you can trade traits with other penguins, like within that toy universe. So it's very cool. You've got the customization aspect, and it really, it's going to be a lot of people's first interaction with NFTs, and that's a win for the space.
Nick, do you see this as a win for the space as well?
Yeah, and I mean, first of all, it's kind of surprising and encouraging that a big public brand like Walmart would dip their toes into this, because we've seen so much hesitation for adoption in this space. But what Christian was kind of referring to, I remember my little sister had this thing called Webkins. That was essentially like, that's what this kind of feels like, in that you're I don't know, it seems like children adopting this kind of stuff is going to be like a foreign language to them, but it seems like a similar concept in the sense that you're buying a physical product, but they're still rerouting it back into the Web3 space, where it's not just like cash grab merchandise that just like, hey, you can get this thing as a physical thing too. It's really rerouting it back and making interactive, just as something as silly as Webkins did, where you essentially bought a stuffed animal and then you got access to this online world. So Webkins might have been well ahead of its time, it seems.
The digital aspect of Webkins was what? You get access to an online world? Was that it?
Yeah, and then it's just I mean, I had very limited experience with it, but my sister seemed fairly addicted to it. That it just makes them want to buy more, have more essentially avatars in this world. And I don't know how much interaction there was, or if you were even interacting with other people, because again, it was mainly for children. You don't necessarily want to encourage them to interact with strangers online, but it seemed to be a similar concept in the sense that you needed to buy this toy in order to be able to play these games and whatnot on their website.
What's the Web3 aspect then of this, right? Is it proof of ownership that I own this this product?
Yeah, I would guess so. I guess I'm not really sure on what kind of stuff they're having online, but it just seems a way to kind of increase interaction and kind of reroute it back into the Web3 space. It just seems it's kind of I don't know if it's kind of like the physical toys, kind of like another version of the NFT that they're just not releasing into the digital world there, in a sense of another way to own something, own a collectible asset. I don't know what kind of value they'll have, but I mean, little stuffed animals, Beanie Babies, things like that. They all have some sort of intrinsic value. So I don't know if they're going to look to increase the values of these toys in particular with limited releases and whatnot, and have those kind of be an asset themselves. It's interesting because, again, and this is kind of where we as a company were kind of gearing towards too, is yes, Web3, it's early and there's ways to adopt it here, but the physical world isn't going anywhere. You need to have some presence here, especially as, like you said, to entice the normies. You need to give them a familiar technology before they kind of jump into this very foreign world to a lot of them.
Speaking of normies, I'm trying to find what's a very good way to onboard somebody new onto this. What's the smallest? What's the the easiest, simplest step? Do you think? It's not about MetaMask wallet. What would that be?
For us, I mean, for us, it was displays. We started in kind of the Top Shot world with that big boom, and we kind of thought about like sports memorabilia and things like that. Like, people own these things, but what do they like to do? They like to show them off. So if you can say, hey, you own this LeBron James highlight, or hey, now you own this Patrick Mahomes highlight, yeah, I can store on the blockchain there, but being able to show it off and say, hey, I own this, have data associated with it. So honestly, I feel like clout and flaunting is a very easy way to entice people to purchase digital products. Because right now, again, you purchase a signed Michael Jordan poster, you're able to show that off. Hey, people are kind of hesitant because it's like, oh, what's this? I'm just on this video clip. Like, it's just a YouTube highlight. That's why we kind of came to the space and we're like, hey, being able to show it off is an easy way to just onboard people into the space. It's just like any other collectible. It's just digital.
Well, what about in terms of getting them to join, right? So if you had a no coiner in your family, where would you tell them to start?
I guess it kind of depends on their interests. Again, people,
they all want to make money.
Making money, then well, right now that's a tough proposition to get right. But I think while money is part of it, I think having some sort of connection or passion behind it is super important. That's why I do think things like sports highlights and digital collectible moments and whatnot work well, because usually people can have some sort of personal value attached to it that you can't necessarily monetize. I know my other co-founder, Kyler, who would have loved to be here, he is a huge Bucks fan, and being able to have the Giannis finals highlight, he was willing to pay several $1,000s just to have that, just to be able to own that. And that's because of the kind of personal value it had with it. So I think while making money is going to be a lot of people's goals, I think diving into the space, it's super important to have some sort of personal attribution to it, because especially now, people, especially with kind of the connotation that's associated with Ethereum profile pictures and whatnot, those kind of quick flips and just like FOMO type things are seem to be disappearing. So definitely the personal kind of connection to it, I think, is super important and a good starting point if they can find that.
Christian, for me, I was hoping like Ledger or equivalent would be, ideally, it's a device that you buy, or if it's a family member, will buy it for them, give it to them, and it's a safe way for them to buy, from it. It's automatically cold wallet, so I don't have to explain cold and hot and so on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you think it's easy to use?
I feel like it's pretty straightforward, but again, I feel like coming from a millennial perspective, we are naturally a pretty tech savvy generation and kind of can get a hold of these things rather quickly. It worries me about like older generations, how quickly that aren't necessarily naturally tech savvy or late to learning these things, how quickly they could get to that. My experience with ledgers, they're pretty easy, but again, I'm speaking from a way different, a little more tech savvy experience.
Yeah. Yes, of course. And Tristan, what do you think?
Yeah, honestly, like with the onboarding thing, I think it depends a lot. Like, there's not one approach fits all. A lot of friends who are my age who didn't have exposure to crypto, keep in mind, I'm quite young. I'm 23 right now. While we were at university, one of the main clubs in the city launched a new ticketing app based on the blockchain. And basically, you'd hold your ticket to a certain event as a blockchain token, but it was all done on the back end. You'd sign in with your university email, which would let you buy this token. And the main value proposition of that is it discouraged scamming. Every week, this event was sold out. And there were fake tickets going around, and people would pay $10, $20, $25 for a fake ticket that someone would send them a screenshot of. And just like that, crypto and the blockchain stopped them from getting scammed. And they converted a bunch of people into, hey, crypto is a bunch of scams, to, okay, maybe you can use it to prevent scamming, to prove ownership, stuff like that. But then again, you have people that are slightly older. For example, my father, where his first interaction was, like you said, with a ledger. He wouldn't even touch exchanges or warm storage. He feels like warm storage is very unsafe. First thing he did was buy a ledger and dip his toes through that. So it really depends on the age demographic and on how tech savvy the person is.
You know, it's very interesting that he mentioned that his father went away from the warm and directly to ledger. I'm assuming your father is a bit tech savvy, learning how to deal with ledger and the interface and connecting the device, having to press multiple seed phrases. It's a bit, it's kind of a hassle. Yeah.
He's a computer engineer with like 35 years of experience, but yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Kind of helps a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit.
But with Pudgy, we'll have more information. We're speaking with the founder Luca on over the weekend, and we'll have all of the details on this. One thing I find exciting about this is they figured out a way to provide more value to the holders beyond flipping their NFT. So if you own the NFT, there are certain royalties and licensing and so on. So they have a model there on that. I'll be getting more information on that, but I like that because it provides more value to the holders and less pressure on the project holders, in a sense, where they're always raising the floor price, so on. So it's a matter of is this type of product popular? So it becomes more on the marketing to get. So it's more marketing, and I think they call them network distribution network. So more Walmarts, more chains like this, smaller, bigger, whatever. So I think that the pressure becomes more on that, which is a normal business, versus, all right, how can I inflate what gimmicks can I do to inflate the floor price? So I like that aspect as well. They did hint that they were using a tool, or they were building their own tool for this, and they said once that they were going to give it access to anybody who wants to do this as well, because they have to manage that licensing. So if that's the case, it would be nice if that's. It would help other IP projects, because it's always the same model. You own a piece of something, and then is it a shirt? Is it a mug? Is it a movie? Whatever, right? So that becomes different.
Yeah, and Ayman, what's interesting?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, say that again, please, Christian.
No, sorry, I was telling you to go on. I butted in there.
All right. Yeah, and I wanted to say what was interesting about what Pudgy Penguins are doing is the integration of Web 2 and Web 3. Some of their Walmart toys are going to include golden tickets, where these golden tickets will give you a chance to redeem mythical traits in Pudgy worlds. So I like that integration of purchasing a Web 2 product, which will then give you benefits in Web3. Additionally, with these mystery igloos that they're doing, we've also got Pokemon. I'm sure you all know Pokemon. They are minting their NFTs on Solana, but they're also doing it with the mystery igloo approach. They're doing mystery boxes, and these mystery boxes potentially will include Pokemon-themed cards, which is very interesting. And I feel like people in Web3 now are really leaning more towards the mystery boxes and that gamified experience for users. What do you think, Ayman?
Well, Pokemon is a very powerful IP, and they've been successful long before Web3, right? So even if we go back to strictly TV, right, TV and comics and so on, and then the merchandise and the concept of the mystery box has always been the mystery box of us buying whatever we're buying and trading and all of that aspect of this, and the traits as well is something they do. And then with new technology, with AR on the phones, augmented reality, they're one of the few very successful augmented reality games. We've all played Pokemon Go, running around the city trying to do things for a while. Right? And some of us got into trouble going to the areas we're not supposed to, private property we're not supposed to be, just to collect them all. So with this, I like the parallel that they're continuing to maintain to show others that the same concept of mystery box and such that definitely resonates with that and the traits. The SEC, it was brought up with the SEC. I saw a video of the SEC commenting on it. So they were asked, is buying a Pokemon card a security? The answer was no. And then it was, if buying it, that's a digital card that's on the blockchain, and then there was a bit of a vague answer there. Let me try, if you guys continue the discussion, let me try to find it in the background and see if we can play it on the space.
You know, Emma, what I thought, what was interesting about this launch is that it wasn't like a digital launched Pokemon. They're releasing new cards. They have the existing cards. They're graded PSAs, and they're 175 cards. And then they're divided into mystery packs. They're sold online. Whoever gets the NFT of that physical card can redeem the actual card. So they did like a reverse thing where you have.
So what do I buy first? Do I buy the physical first or I buy the digital first?
No. You don't buy the physical first. You buy a digital. Well, basically, you buy a mystery pack, and whatever you get in that mystery pack, you can then redeem it for the physical card that is PSA graded.
Okay.
You know?
It becomes the proof of ownership sort of thing, right?
Yeah, basically.
I'm curious about the transfers though. So let's say you and I traded, or we trade offline. What does that look like?
Yeah, I'm still not sure, but I think they have some sort of way to prove that this NFT should be redeemable with the physical one, with whether it was with PSA or other grading companies. Because, for example, let's say that was redeemed, and then I want to sell my NFT. What proves then that I will also give away my card, my physical card? You know, a lot of question marks there, but I'm still not sure about the small details with what happened in Courtyard.
I found sorry, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, no, as we increase this sort of thing with like physical items backed by digital ownership, I feel like there's a gap in the market for escrow companies to handle these transactions between people, especially for the very high valued proof of ownerships. Like, for example, let's say you have a super rare Pokemon card, and then you have the NFT to back it. You send both to an escrow company, your buyer pays the money to the escrow company, and then they handle the transfer. I mean, there's stuff like this for items, high value items that have nothing to do with Web3. So I feel like either these companies are going to branch out into Web3 escrow, or there's going to be a massive gap in the market that could be filled by someone.
I think that's a interesting point, to be honest. Yeah. Sorry.
I found the audio. I'm going to try to play it. Let me know if this comes through or not.
Suppose I were to purchase a Pokemon card. Would doing so constitute a security transaction?
Yeah, it's going through.
Purchase a Pokemon card. I don't know what the context is, but if you're just purchasing a Pokemon card.
If I purchase a Pokemon card, is that a security transaction?
Or that's not a security.
Okay. If I were to purchase a tokenized Pokemon card on a digital exchange via a blockchain, is that a security transaction?
I'd have to know more.
Okay. So for you, the process of tokenization is what transforms a non-security transaction into a security transaction?
If the investing,
I thought you were technology neutral.
If the investing public is anticipating profits based upon the efforts of others and they're exchanging funds, that's the core.
I see my time has expired. So.
Was the audio clear on that, or should I play? I can play it differently if you want.
Yeah.
It was clear.
Yeah, it was clear, just a bit low, but it was clear.
Let me try one more thing. Let me see if this plays. Does this work?
Nothing here.
Nope.
Nothing. Well, never mind. Okay. So if you're able to hear it, so see, it's not clear, right? Do you feel they were clear on what they wanted to do?
Yeah, he said that he needs more information before he can answer that question.
Yeah.
Hello?
I mean, the part that I felt they commented on was the jab was. I thought you were technology neutral, so tokenization is what bothers you, right? So I think that was a significant aspect of that comment as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like that. What is it?
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. What I also liked was usually the questions are there's a delay. No, please, Christian, I'm done. Please go ahead.
No, I was going to say maybe this is also related to how we as society view collectibles physically versus digitally. Perhaps like the majority of the population only views physical collectibles as something that you would collect just as is without any expectation of it going up. Whereas when you tokenize it, some would argue that it's not as much of a collectible. I don't agree with this argument. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
So it's the perception of value, right? So if I own that card, that's a physical card. I own it. It's rated. I put it in. I store it safely in a deep drawer, and we're good. But if it's a digital version of this, then it's not as valuable.
And also, it's much easier to exchange it online when you have a clear exchange for it, whereas sending a physical copy. Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but it is easier to send and sell a tokenized asset than it is to sell a physical Pokemon card safely.
You're reminding me of Roblox games that, or any games that have, elements in the game that you can trade. So you unlock a few things here and there, and then I'll give you this sword in exchange for 3, armor and 2 this and that, and you either accept it or not, or so on. But that's within the ecosystem of the game itself. But there's a lot going there in that. The tokenization bit. Because you can look at tokenization as a proof of ownership, right? So it's I actually own this versus I stole this from my brother's drawer and I'm trying to sell it to you or whatever, right? So it's the proof of ownership sort of thing. Transferring that is also tricky. Not so much. I don't know. I mean, I think the most annoying part in all of this is the lack of clarity. Like now, it's a very clear question. If it's a physical card, is it? If it's a digitized, it's not. That type, right? So that I feel is the key aspect here. That lack of clarity is what I think is making us all spend time talking and thinking and pondering and delaying and not bringing money in or not buying. So I think that's the key aspect of this. What else did we have as topics as well? I don't have this in front of me.
Yes. Speaking of security and all that, I have a little bit of gossip. Did you guys hear about OpenSea's breach? I know that they have faced past security issues, and I know that they said that the breach was a third-party vendor, but did you guys have the chance to look at or know about the specifics of what happened there and what that means for users?
Nick, Christian, did you have time to look into any of this?
I was not familiar. I just heard about it this morning when you guys dropped the agenda.
Okay.
Relatively.
Sorry, Christian?
No, I only said I'm relatively familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
MG?
So far, it's only a third-party API breach. Nothing directly targeted at OpenSea. But one of their spokespeople explained the matter and said that the devs were contacted and their keys should be replaced so that they're not taking any harm from this attack. So it's probably a minor thing that happened, and as long as the API keys are deprecated and they're replaced with the new ones, they should be fine.
But what did they steal? NFTs or ETH or what is it?
No, so basically it's an API key. It gathers information about from third-party tools. So that could be information about users, wallet addresses, their information, maybe emails if they have any type of account signed up. So we saw some data breach also happen with Ledger, where the emails were breached, and then the users were victims of phishing scams. So you'd be afraid of something similar to happen of such data breach where users' data is exposed to hackers.
Okay, okay, thanks.
But knowing that OpenSea has faced back in 2022 multiple security breaches and issues, such as remember these 250 NFTs that were stolen from them, including bases and DGods and whatnot, which the attacker profited around $1.7 million, and then they had some phishing attacks shortly after that. So do you think that as OpenSea and knowing how big OpenSea is and how many users it has, this might have users FUD and just move away from Web3 if such leading marketplaces are going through such breaches?
No, I don't think it's move away from Web3, but maybe move away from OpenSea. I mean, we've seen a lot of competitors come up, and they're really taking OpenSea's market share based on what they had in 2021. We saw Blur, a big name now in the scene. So OpenSea is basically trying to stay as competitive as possible, especially when they remove the royalty thing, especially after they pushed it a whole lot. So I don't think it's allowing users to move away from Web3 because it's not an OpenSea specific act. You know, scams are everywhere. You have scams in Discord, you have scams in Telegram, you have scams on Twitter, but OpenSea is just another channel where hackers can utilize it to gain from victims.
Okay. What else?
This is for all the PSG, Paris Saint-Germain.
Ah, yes. Web3 guy, that's with you, right?
Yep.
You looked into this. Are you a PSG fan before we go into that?
No, actually, no. I'm more on the Spanish side of football, but yeah, it's still European. So yeah.
Christian?
So basically, yeah.
I'm not a big football follower.
Okay. Nick, soccer, does it resonate or make any sense to you? Not so much.
It's I'm an American football guy, unfortunately. I mean, I'll follow from afar. Like I know the big names and whatnot. Champions League, I'll tune into, and it's reasonable too. But yeah, it's mostly American football.
And who do you support in American football?
I'm originally from Wisconsin, so I'm a diehard Green Bay Packers guy. Beyond the Aaron Rodgers diva era, and we're feeling good about ourselves.
Very good. So, what you guys tell us about what PSG are doing? Is Mbappe still with them, or did he move to Saudi?
Yeah, I think
he stayed, right?
Last year, yeah.
He said no to 300. What was it? Remember, $300 million or $200 million a year or something like that.
I think this is like a contract issue because his contract is running out at the end of the year. He don't want to renew his contract. They don't want him to leave for free. So there's a lot of problems between him and the PSG. So yep.
I was wrong. It was 605 million euros, which I'm guessing is like around $650 million a year. Yeah.
Is it a lot?
Okay. $650 million is a lot. You're comfortable with free guy, right? So it's okay. I think Christian and Nick and I can spend it within a year, 18 months maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are they doing other than saying no to $650 million?
Okay, so this is basically their second NFT collection, and they tried a new way this time. So it's not an open mint or a whitelisted mint or anything. What they did, they drafted 1970 art NFTs. They chose only 7 that they are calling posters, not NFTs, but they are basically NFTs. And they are releasing 1 poster on each match day. So they chose 7 match days throughout the season, and they release 1 poster with unlimited quantity on each match day. And since this is a collaboration with Crypto.com, they have it as an airdrop, so users will go in, fill out the form, and they are eligible for the airdrop. And basically, the terms are very simple. You only have to be compliant with their terms of and conditions, over 18, and so on. So yeah, that's it. Everyone can go and claim those 7 NFTs. And this
So every day I log in, I get one?
no, you have to go to, just a second, I'm pinning it here, psgmatchdaycollection.com. You press on the match day, you have 48 hours after the match ends, and you fill a form with your crypto.com ID, your country of residence, your age, and so on. It's basically 5 pieces of information, your email too, and they will airdrop you directly the NFT.
Every day. So there's nothing for me to do. I just sign up once and then they airdrop it to me every day?
No, you have to fill the same form once every match. So on match day, you have to fill a form. So basically, you have to sign up 7 days. Yep.
Yeah. So they're creating a loyalty program for their fans where they can
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And and with those 7, do I redeem them with something later, or is it like a poster sort of thing that I can share that I have that?
Yep. I think they act as art because some artists draw them between AI generated and human art, and any user who collects the 7 posters will have access to a VIP ticket on one of their match days. I think that's last match day of the season. He has access to a signed jersey from PSG and several other rewards.
Okay. So very likely, if you're a fan, this is unique in a sense because there won't be many people in Web3. Even those in Web3, they're not. They don't care much about other teams that they don't care about. Yes. Okay. I see how that makes sense.
Yep, and it's not also exclusive to their French fans, so anyone can go in and claim it. All right.
Cool. Is anybody keeping track of BitBoy and Ben Armstrong? Christian, Nick, are you keeping track of the drama?
I saw what happened. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff going on. It's fascinating to watch. It feels like I'm concerned because it's been exposed that BitBoy is struggling with addiction and stuff, but obviously he scammed a lot of people in this space allegedly. So yeah.
A lot of people are saying this is karma for what he did to all the people with all the scam coins. He's now being arrested.
Nick
I can understand.
Sorry. Go ahead.
In a way, I can understand the company's direction for letting him go, because now his face is associated with so many projects of the past bull run that didn't do well and stuff. That as a company, he has become like more of a liability than an asset. But at the same time, the brand is built on his face and with his name, so it's more of like. It seems like his personal brand turned into like larger brand, but at its core, it's still him. So I don't know like what the brand will do without him in the picture. Yeah. Also, he was arrested, but he was released like 12 hours later, right?
But he was arrested for something else. He was arrested for something else. He was arrested for trespassing. Not for the business disagreement that they have.
Yeah, apparently he was live streaming right in front of Carlos
I saw that one,
Diaz's house, and like 10 minutes in, he got arrested by the police. So I don't know, that's crazy. And also the videos that were going out of him, he wasn't really acting in a reasonable way. So I would see why people would say that there's substance abuse, but crazy.
Nick, are you keeping track of this stuff or not so much?
Yeah, I mean, for this, I just saw some highlights, and I saw he kind of threw out a snarky tweet about how he spent like 8 hours in the slammer or something like that. So I don't think his pride or anything is shaken by all this.
What I find disappointing about the BitBoy saga is nothing is about business. It's all based on a business disagreement. So you have a founder who is no longer in the company, and there's talk about harassment and embezzlement of funds and so on. So this is all core business, but everything on the social feeds of both sides, it's all he said, she said. This guy did this, I did that, but he said this, he told these other guys that, and so on. Because I was excited to look at the business aspect of this, because For a founder to be ousted from his company that has his name, that means there are documents in place that were not signed or prepared well in the beginning. There are talks of being forced to sign, which I find unusual in a business environment. In movies, yes, I understand, right? But in a business environment, it doesn't make sense. There's talk about who owns what, and there's also personal money. Or why would he need to go? What's his monthly burn like for him to be suddenly without any money and needing to raise funds? I was curious when I was looking. I was keeping a close eye in the beginning because I wanted to see what is the business problems behind this. But none of this was business. None of. So all of the live videos that were happening, all of that, it's all about who said what and why, and who was with who, and who's married to who, and who was unfaithful to who, and whose car is what, and the Lambo, and whose Lambo is it, and why, and who has it. Just all of this doesn't matter. So this is the part that I found the most disappointing, especially that there are so many people in the space who are either building themselves or they're buying from people who build. So I think it's a good opportunity for learning for what to look for in a project before you buy their Web3 product or a part of that. So that was a disappointing part for me.
Yeah, Ayman, I think it's also poor management from his end. Since you're the face of your business, you're the face of the brand. He also mentioned that he has I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know to what extent we can believe the guy, but he said most of or all of the funds that he has is tied into the business, and that's why he's raising some funds. So I don't know if it's
MG, I've seen that with business owners who commingle personal funds and business funds, but those are usually small companies. So that's usually a small business owner, less than 10 employees. The business is breaking even with covering some of the expenses of the founder. That type of thing, that I see and understand. But this is a larger company. There are multiple, and the example I gave you is a single shareholder. This is a large company with multiple shareholders. They're dealing with topics that require some form of regulation and oversight and so on. So basics of a business, of who owns what and who owns who, and basic accounting and ownership. So that's the part that I found unusual. It's not like it's a small laundry, which is the dad and he employs one of his his son or daughter, and then it's the cash register at the end of the day. They need some money to buy something on their way home. They use money from the cash registers. It's not. This is not the scenario there. So that's the part that I feel is unusual.
Yep. Web3 guy, you have something new for us to share today. Is that correct?
Yep. So, okay, so let's start. So as everyone know, we launched our marketplace. I pinned the tweet. You can see a fair.xyz link. All you have to do is open this link. It will be a free mint, so don't worry, you don't need any funds. It's on Polygon. You need to mint one NFT, and this NFT, you will be able to redeem it for exclusive rewards. So for all the listeners here, you will need a secret code to mint. So keep the browser open. We will release the secret code very closely. So should we release the code now, MG, or should we explain a bit more?
How does this work again? So one of the listeners, so we have our listeners here with us or our viewers online. Well, where do they go? Do they open up a browser? Where do they go?
Yep, they go to fair.xyz/doodleup. So I already pinned it on Twitter and I will drop it here just a second. And all they have to do is mint a DoodleUp NFT, which basically one acts as their ticket or token that they can redeem for exclusive rewards to its an amazing piece of art that is drawn by our partner charities.
Guys, for the listeners in our space, you can just head on to the link in the pinned tweet, and then you can mint this NFT for free. You will need this NFT to redeem your prizes next week. Okay, guys? So make sure you're fast.
I don't see the pinned tweet yet.
It's by NFT PowerUp, the third one. It's in the middle, third one. Mint your DoodleUp NFT using the passcode.
Okay. If you
Okay.
can unpin the news, we'll be fine.
Yep. So everyone, this is a limited quantity, so it's a first come first serve basis. So please be fast. MG, what's the secret code?
The secret code is compete. COMPETE.
Compete.
Compete, guys.
So
COMPETE. Compete.
guys, it's a free mint. There will be exclusive rewards, and let me tell you something. This is just the beginnings. Every space there will be huge rewards. So go mint your NFT and stay tuned.
Let's go.
All right, I'm trying to see. So they go to this URL and then they use a secret code, which was what?
COMPETE. Compete.
All right, and if we could for next time have like a shorter URL, I'm trying to type it in now. I was like, what is this? So, all right. Okay, what do we have next?
Yeah, so we hope everyone benefited from the news topics and got insights into Web3. But now that the news topics, gossips, and all of that is done, Ayman, do you want to do Guess the Voice, or should we move to our next segment, which is AMA with Nifted?
Okay, let's move into our next segment.
Win big with NFT PowerUp's trivia gaming platform, nftpowerup.io.
Nick, thank you for being here with us today. We're looking forward to hearing more from you about you first. Let's start with you first, and then we'll get into Nifted. So tell us more about you, Nick. What's your Web2 life before going into Web3?
Yeah, so I come from a journalism and mass communications background. I went to the University of Wisconsin and thought journalism was my track. I worked for the student paper in college and got to do a lot of cool stuff covering the Wisconsin football team and basketball team. Got to see them in the national championship game, cover that, see the players crying in the locker room, really traumatic experience for them and me. But by the time college kind of ended, I felt pretty burnt out. I feel like I would have had journalism is a very tough industry, especially nowadays. And I feel like I would have to kind of start all over from the beginning and kind of work my way back up after being able to cover cool things like big college sports events and whatnot. So kind of put that by the wayside, kind of still stuck around with sports writing. And then eventually somehow found my way into tech. I was a customer success manager and whatnot, and then hated my job at this point. And at that point, one of our other co-founders, Raymond, kind of started talking about this thing called NBA Top Shot. And he was kind of working with technology. He's a big computer science guy, big brain. And he started almost immediately, found a way how someone could essentially connect their Top Shot account to a display. And from there, I quit my job and then decided to start up Nifted there. So not really sure how I got into this space. I was never a big crypto guy or anything like that, but Kyler and Raymond were. So they needed a guy. Kyler knows the brains of the business. Raymond knows the tech. None of them know how to convey it to the masses. So they call upon the writer guy who can effectively type out words that make a lot of sense. And that's where I kind of came in.
Okay. So what is Nifted? What does Nifted do?
So very beginning, we started as just a display company. We 3D printed displays with a Raspberry Pi and said, hey, you guys can connect this to your Top Shot account or your Ethereum wallet via MetaMask, and you can show off your NFTs. That, in the simplest form, that was what we were. And we were probably the first company to do it, and we're still, as far as I know, the only kind of company that allows you to, because a lot of display companies, they came out, but it was just essentially you can upload a JPEG or an MP4 to this thing and we'll send it to you, which showed no proof of ownership or anything like that. The companies that have proof of ownership, it's either just a permanent, essentially print of a NFT where it's on your display, you can't change it, or they're just limited to Ethereum and limited in how many they can show. We have it, so we have a whole application where you can shuffle through all your, whether it be Dapper-based NFTs or Ethereum NFTs, which we're working on other blockchains as well. It creates a whole showcase up to 30 Ethereum NFTs, up to 40 Dapper moments. Essentially, it's a slideshow moving through all of them. We have a touchscreen display, so you can tap the card and it can show a bunch of analytics on the back, shows proof of ownership on there, and you can only display what you own. That was our biggest thing, is the verification of your personal belongings. You can't show what anybody else owns or anything like that. So we kind of started as that, but we are kind of looking to just grow in ways where you can interact with these digital assets. That was our big thing, kind of bridging the gap between the digital and physical worlds, because, again, obviously everything's living on Web3 here, but for mass adoption and for easier onboarding, having that presence in the physical world was super important for us still. And that's why it was so easy to start with something like sports memorabilia, because we were just able to kind of compare it to showing off trading cards, showing off posters, showing off a signed jersey and things like that. As those things become digital assets as well, and the more we can interact with them, that will expand the capabilities of our displays and whatnot. But we are looking to expand, just make ways for people can interact with their own digital assets, give them essentially more inherent utility beyond what the companies themselves are providing.
Do you look at yourself as a hardware company?
No. We definitely want to be more on the software side of things, because while we can provide these physical displays, the real technology that we're promoting is our application that allows you to verify your wallet and be able to show it on the display, which is why we're also working on something where it would essentially be a subscription-based model where you would have an application on any sort of screen, whether it be an iPad or anything that can have an application on it, and you can turn that into a NIFTA display, essentially, whether that be temporarily or somewhat permanently. Because right now, technically, we would have the ability to go on any web browser and essentially turn that web browser into a display. We would just have to whitelist the browser itself. It would come up with a device ID essentially. So we want to convert that technology into an application and essentially make it so you can turn anything into a display, make it easier to show off things, whether it just be a one-off thing on your phone, on a tablet, or any sort of big screen. So it's really the software that we kind of differentiates ourselves, because anyone can create a physical frame, or a digital picture frame is not new technology, so we don't want to reinvent the wheel here with that. Our real selling point is our ability to verify your ownership and then being able to use the application to put it on your display, be able to change it around as you'd like, and be fully customizable with your own personal digital collection. Let's
talk about the digital display industry that you're in, right? The vibe I'm getting is when digital cameras were a thing, even before smartphones. When digital cameras were before smartphones, the pictures were stuck on computer hard drives. What I used to do was for my family members, so my parents and an older aunt or grandma, they needed pictures from me, and they're like, "Always print something and bring that to me next time you come." I was like, "I don't know. It's on my computer. What do you mean print it? And I don't know where to go and what to do in this." So I ended up buying and experimenting with a bunch of these digital displays, right? And they were not cheap at the time. So every display was at least $350. The decent ones were $350, something like this, $350. I remember Philips used to have a decent model, and I experimented with a few others long before different clones were coming in, and they would frustrate me that they would only have a memory card in them. So I thought I could use the internet to upload things to them, but no, it had to wait until my next trip, my next summer or Christmas. When I see them, I just do an upload of those on that. Okay. Then cheaper knockups came. They were connected to the internet as well, and then with time we had smarter TVs as well. And those load. Now, when it comes to NFTs, what I'm seeing is when I go to galleries, for example, so art galleries that display NFTs, or events when they have their NFTs, they're usually TVs. They're usually TVs, and they have, because I keep a close eye, I want to see how they do this, and I noticed if I see somebody fixing the TV in a sense, I keep a close eye to see what are they doing, and it's clear they have a USB, it's not even connected to the internet, it's a USB stick. It definitely has a bunch of these NFT images on them, and they physically behind the TV trying to squeeze in the USB to have that on display, and it's a slideshow. basically. Even the screen that you see behind me, it's being positioned as an art. So I'm customizing my own images on this, but the way they sell it is, it's an art TV, it's an art display. So it's like a frame, and you can either pay per unit to buy the art, it's around $10 or so, or you pay a monthly subscription, which is similar to what you're talking about, where it just, it goes through an infinite number of images in the background. What I'm trying to understand with the NFT ones, because I've been seeing different projects here, what's the differentiator than a TV that's connected to the internet, that's reading from a shared Google Photos or whatever, a shared drive of images? What is the differentiator? Is it the proof of ownership to show that this is only displayed on your screen because you own it, and there's a QR code that proves ownership or so on? What's the differentiator there, please?
Yeah, I think proof of ownership.
And I'm not doubting the project. I'm just trying to understand where is this heading and how is this evolving?
Yeah, no, totally fair question. And it is proof of ownership for us. Again, as with our display specifically, or if you're running, like our displays, like take our 32-inch display, for example, you turn it on, it only runs the Nifted application on the display. It has no other purpose. And it's a display that essentially the technology in it has long been used for like advertising. So it's meant to stay on for hours on end. And for a long time, like it's not going to overheat. Like its purpose is to stay on, keep running videos and pictures and whatnot. So there's that hardware aspect, and then in terms of what makes it different is it's only going to run our application, and it only links with our mobile application, which is where you essentially create a Nifted account, choose what wallet you want to link to. And then once it links to that wallet, it populates all the digital assets you own on that particular blockchain. So if I connect my Dapper account to the application, all of my Dapper NFTs, whether it be All Day, UFC Strike, NBA Top Shot, will all populate. I just check mark, uncheck what I want to show, up to 40 of them. And they'll just populate on the NFT. It's connected to on the display. The display is connected to the internet. But it's not casting either. Like you can leave your house, it'll keep running and everything. It's essentially just loading. You're loading it up on the application. It sends that info to the display itself, and then it's just running on the internet for there on out. As you change it, it updates instantaneously. There's no external plugins or anything like that. You're not just uploading videos or pictures, JPEGs or MP4s or .movs or anything like that to the display. It is literally your assets that you're uploading and connecting to your wallet and uploading onto the display itself, essentially. So there's really no way around it. You have to be connected and verify that you own it in order to display it.
Can we go through the use cases? So one of the use cases I see is showing off, right?
Yeah.
So when people come to your house over the weekend, and you usually have like a painting or poster or so on, a form of self-expression. But your NFTs are, the same way they were the pictures were on a hard drive. These NFTs are on OpenSea or on your wallet or whatever it is. So to show it off, you need that type of display there, and then definitely you're likely going to have non-coiners join you and going to say, "What is this monkey you have on this? Did your kid draw this?" You're going to say, "No, I bought this for that one you're making fun of it was $100,000." And even if they make fun that it's down, it's still, what is it now? 50 MG. What's the board ape now? Is it 50,000?
Yeah, maybe
48.
You haven't checked in a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it's 35, it's still $35,000 NFT, right? So I think that's a use case. What are other use cases, Nick?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one right now, and we're kind of waiting on more.
The showing off bit is is such a functional thing. I think it's a human trait that we have.
Especially in this space, I feel like people love. Well, it's harder to do now in this market, but I think the biggest thing was people just had FOMO. They wanted to be part of something, and then they wanted to show that they were part of something. It was almost a status symbol. Much like, so putting that Bored Ape or something right in your living room or in your office or anything like that, and having it show or having a rotation of everything you own, it's kind of a status symbol. So I think it's the biggest thing right now, and we're also kind of waiting to see how NFTs themselves evolve in terms of artwork and whatnot. Because again, we have a touchscreen functionality with it. We've seen sports companies try to do like more interactive things with like, think about like 360-degree cameras and NBA arenas and how they can turn those highlights into more interactive replays and whatnot. So it all kind of depends. We're kind of anticipating what's coming, and how our screen can adapt to that. Essentially using it as like a closet of sorts, for certain things with people who have like avatars in Web3 and whatnot. So we're just kind of waiting on the space to evolve and for us to be ready to adopt. But for right now, I mean, it's essentially as if it was artwork. You're able to show it off and be able to prove that, hey, I own this digital asset.
On your point of the show off and fear of missing out, you reminded me of, once one of the many examples where I felt we were in a bubble was, I remember I was at the bank waiting, it was like a 45-minute wait, and then there were two guys in front of me. One guy was ripped, and he was showing off to another guy who was on his way to becoming ripped. That was his aim, what he was doing, and they were talking about, they had OpenSea and talking about crypto and NFTs, and one guy had phone open and showing off to the other one, and the other one's listening intently. And I know he's going home to Google this stuff and buy, because what do you mean the other guy did this and I did not, and I don't know about this, and I want to be, that aspect of this. And the guys were clearly not. It was not a Web3 interest or AI, definitely not AI at the time. So there was no interest in blockchain or whatever. It was just a matter of making a quick buck and showing off. So those definitely, I would think they would be a different customer for this. Tell me more about the subscription model. What I like about the subscription model as a concept is you're moving beyond the hardware in a sense. So I'm paying for the product, and then there are the additional long-term revenue here. And I'm seeing more and more products like this. So I use a note-taking tablet. Mm-hmm. And they're smart because you have to pay a premium for the tablet because it's a high-end one to recognize notes. And then I'm paying a monthly fee to be able to access the web interface and the updates on the cloud and a bunch of things on this and so on. So I'm a customer there. I also when I recently bought my Whoop. What I found, because I had a Fitbit before, and I buy a Fitbit, I'd keep it for a year or two or whatever. So I wouldn't get the next upgrade because it was close to it. I'd get the upgrade after that. The same way you do with phones. My doctor recommended the Whoop, and then I was like, okay. I looked at it. It's an annual fee that I pay. The hardware is free, supposedly. It's like, what do you mean it's free? I'm paying an annual fee, which is as much as I'm paying more, because when I buy a Fitbit, I pay the hardware once and let it sleep for at least 2 years, depending on their upgrade cycle. With this, I'm paying annually, and they've given me a free one, and they say, oh, when we have Whoop 5 or whatever it is, we're going to send it to you also for free. It's like, what do you? I paid the year. There's nothing free. So that recurring model I'm seeing more of in hardware, and I understand that it's a very good way for long-term revenue. And if you're looking to raise money, it will definitely help your valuation as well. So. Tell us more about about where are you heading in the subscription? Do you have a direction for the payment or not? How much it is? What do they get? What type of content and so on? And does it conflict with your proof of? I'm showing proof of ownership. So walk me through that.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a very early concept. We have the kind of foundation of the technology, but the business behind it, we haven't really thought much about in terms of specifics. But essentially, we found it a way, and it was actually someone kind of revived it in our Discord. Someone brought it up, and we're like, yeah, we have been on top of this pretty much since the beginning. But essentially, it's a lower barrier of entry for people in the display game, essentially, because hardware can get expensive. And especially single-use hardware like this, it may be a little more difficult for people to justify the price, especially if they're not spending a lot on their own digital collectibles yet. They may not be willing to spend a lot to show them off as well. So we thought, because we have the means essentially to be able to turn any sort of screen into a display as long as it can run some sort of web app, why not give the people the ability to do that if they just pay a monthly recurring fee, and then we have recurring revenue that way as well. We just were looking for potential other avenues instead of being straight product, because it's, again, our real product is the technology within our application, the ability to link your alts and whatnot and be able to show what you own. So the idea of being able to show off on any display or being able to use existing displays, but still have the same kind of process in terms of proving your ownership and only being able to show off what you own, you're still not playing MP4s and whatnot. That was kind of our thought process behind it. It's just a lower cost of entry into the space because we want to make mass adoption as easy and as welcoming as possible. And we don't want to have these big prices on top of the expensive collectibles you're likely already owning. Because again, not everybody's collecting for money, especially when it comes, just my experience in the sports world, there's that personal connection that some people just want to own some things, and being able to lower cost of entry to be able to show those off and whatnot, whether that be permanently or just temporarily, as a means to show what they own. That's what we're kind of looking for there. But again, that's very early on. We're finishing up with this round of hardware first, and then we'll move on to probably something like that. Looking at that will probably be our next step, is looking at that recurring revenue and the subscription-based model for people.
Okay. My last question would be for Christian. Have you given thought about displaying NFTs in your home or office or so on, or artwork from the metaverse and Metalancer and so on? So just have you given some thought to that, and what does that look like for you?
Honestly, yeah, I'm big on that. I haven't displayed any NFTs, but I've always liked having iPods mounted around my living space to serve different practical purposes, one of which would be to display a nice background. So I would definitely consider displaying NFTs. One of our co-founders as well is the owner of an NFT art gallery where he obviously displays NFTs on screens. So, and a lot of people, it brings in a lot of people from the Web2 world to who have nothing to do with Web3 or collectibles or stuff like that. And now because they're in a physical medium, but not printed, because NFTs aren't really, to me, it feels weird to print an NFT, but seeing it on a screen in the physical world is a good middle ground, and it piques your interest. So I can definitely see this brand and idea going forward, especially when NFT floor prices pick up in value again and people can flex that they have a 500K NFT on their wall.
Nick, on that point, Christy mentioned another use case, which is art galleries. What type of discussions have you been having with art galleries? Do they need... I'd assume they would need some form of a tool to manage and do this, and they're not usually, the art gallery folks are usually not on the tech side, they're more on the creative side. So have you had discussions, Nick, with art galleries generally, and what things was clear for them and what things were not?
So art galleries, not as much. It seems like when we see these art gallery things, it's a very basic technology. Like you said, they're just kind of more or less showing the art on some sort of giant TV displays and whatnot, which works in the sense like that because it's not, you're just showing off the art itself. You just need a means to show it off in that way. What we have talked about is we've talked with individual digital artists, and by means of potentially selling their artwork alongside one of our displays, as a means for someone to essentially have a display and immediately have a digital asset that they own that they can display on it. I think the artists really like the idea of being able to sell their art and being able to sell it in a means where then people can display something that they own with that particular art piece. So galleries seem to be wanting to just keep it as simple as possible in terms of how they're displaying. I think our use case for ours is primarily on an individual ownership basis or like that. What we have more so discussed is in the realm of sports. Again, I feel like we're pretty heavy in the sports world. We've had very minor discussions with various teams in terms of they want to own particular assets from players that have either come through their franchise or particularly like the development league and the NBA, the G League. They've had interest in wanting displays like this to show off, but they would want to have actual ownership and whatnot. So there may be some kind of business cases where you're kind of in the very early stages of that. But we have started diving into the art world in terms of, it seems to be more on a basis of individual artists, just wanting people to have a means to show off their artwork that's not just, on their computer or whatnot.
Okay, it makes sense. Nick, as we wrap up the segment with Nifted, where would people go? What do you want them to do? What's the call to action here for you?
I think the biggest thing for essentially up to second updates and whatnot is in our Discord. Our community there, people are asking questions and whatnot. We're trying to update people as much as possible while we kind of navigate this market. So our Discord is going to be the best bet. I think there's a link in our Twitter to our Discord that you can join. And Twitter, and then we also have kind of promotional stuff in there in terms of contests and giveaways and whatnot to kind of win some stuff in our name. And then all that stuff is promoted on our Twitter regularly as well. We have a full-fledged marketing team that's been working really hard as they kind of navigate this bear market here. So Twitter and Discord are going to be the place where you can find us. You will have direct access to our whole team there. I'm pretty active in there. So that's the easiest way to just get a direct line to us.
Okay. Nick, thank you for sharing the information about your project. Now we're moving to the last segment, which is a trivia winner selection, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you into crypto, a trivia whiz, or eager to learn while you earn? Visit nftpowerup.io and join the community.
All right, trivia. Is that with you, Web3 guy?
Yep. So as always, announcing the winners. So in third place today, we have Meli. I think his Twitter handle is Mary. So congratulations. We will tag you after the specified. In place number 2, we have Can, C-A-N. So congrats, you won $50 in the whitelist. 100 congrats. And in first place, we have Mert, Boy, I think. So congrats on being first. You won.
All right. So what did you do to claim the winning?
Okay, so we will tag the winners. We will DM them. All they have to do is be responsive to claim their rewards. Yep.
All right.
Pew.
I think that stuck with me as well. I have a version of that to work on as well, but I did not. All right then. A big thank you for Nick from Nifted and Christian from Metalancer. Thank you for joining us here today and discussing with us the latest in the AI and Web3 topics. It was very nice to have you guys with us here. Thank you for joining. Congratulations to the folks who won their trivia. And our next trivia is live. Web3 guy.
I was about to interrupt and say we missed mentioning our upcoming trivia. It's live, guys. Go test your skills. Do you know Vitalik Buterin enough? Go check that out. We have pinned our upcoming, our current live trivia competition, and show us who knows Vitalik most.
All right, that's the pin tweet on that, and we're live every Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. I wanted to thank everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Let's go.
Join us again next Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We hope you have enjoyed listening.